All right, we are live again. Thank you, everyone, for finding again time to join our series Sell It Like American. This is a third series, and we couldn't do it without you, but we also couldn't do it with our sponsors, USAID, Digital Initiative Serbia, Startit, obviously, amazing team with shout out to Lazar and Isidora. And also, we have some amazing guests here that I'm going to introduce here in a second. But again, we would love to mention again, this is number 3 series from our Sell It Like an American. And today we are actually going to do a live product demo. Everything was kind of building up towards this moment where we are going to sell. We're going to demo Recrooit to an actual American customer, Ricardo Martinez. I'm going to introduce everyone here briefly in a second. But again, we do have some people that just joined us here maybe for the first time. And I just want to mention, again, the reason for this series is we wanted to help companies and salespeople, engineers, founders to understand what it takes to sell on an American soil in a North America. As I mentioned, we did this is a 4-part series. Right now, we're the number 3 event. Number 1 was the Sales Essentials, where we worked with Recrooit and Nevena and Nev to understand what are some of those sales tools that you need to have when you want to come to United States and sell it to American companies and American buyers. Number 2 series was we actually prepare for the live demo. And this is a number 3 series where we're actually going to do a live demo. We will have a number 4 series, which is going to come in a Q4, maybe in a couple months, where we will follow up after the demo based on some of the feedback that Nev is going to receive from her potential client. Again, roles today, we will do a proper introduction once the live demo starts, but I just want everybody to understand the roles here. My name is Alex Ponick. You probably seen me in the previous series. If you have not, I'm a Precog Security co-founder. More importantly for this event, I'm a moderator. We also have our distinguished guest, my great friend and the business partner, Ricardo Martinez. He's actually going to play a role of a potential client and really somebody who is interested to learn about Recrooit. Me and Ricardo go back a long way. He's a great cybersecurity practitioner, but in this particular event, he's the real role chief strategy officer for DigitalEra Group out of Miami. And then we're going to have Nevena Sofranić. She's the founder of Recrooit. She's actually the solution provider, and she will be presenting the demo today. Just quickly, some housekeeping, again, agenda. We introduced the event series, the role intros. We will transition here shortly in the live demo. I'm going to disappear for a second, but I also want to mention, typically we allow questions and answers throughout the presentations. Today, we want to give Nevena a chance to present Recrooit to Ricardo, give Ricardo a chance to ask some great questions and see if this is a good fit for his organization. We will open up Q&A towards the end. So if you have some great questions, please send it to us. We will address those once the demo is finished. And at that point, we will, close out this event. We slated, we have a full 60 minutes for this event, so hopefully you can stay with us throughout it. Without further ado, we will give it to Nevena and Ricardo, and now we are transitioning into the actual live demo. Good luck.
You're on mute.
Well, that's a start. Hi, Ricardo. How are you doing?
Hey, pretty good yourself? It happens to all of us.
Yeah, very well. Thank you. Thank you for taking time to learn about Recrooit. And for the beginning and the starters, I would love to learn something more about DigitalEra and yourself. So would you be so kind to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So I'm Ricardo Martinez, Chief Strategy Officer at DigitalEra Group. So we're a cybersecurity firm based out of South Florida. We service customers in South Florida, enterprise customers, and we also service the Caribbean and Latin America. So we're a distribution partner of a lot of security firms. So we have a lot of customers, and there's a lot of needs on the cybersecurity field as well. So my personal history, I came from several security vendor backgrounds. So I worked for McAfee many years. That's where I met Alex. And I also transitioned and started the business for Tenable into Latin America. So another big cybersecurity firm. So I have the vendor side, and now I'm on the reseller side. So we actually resell a lot of those technologies to our enterprise customers.
Amazing. So security space is kind of busy at the moment, right? What I've heard is that there is like 3.5 million openings at the moment. So how are you handling your recruitment efforts at the time?
Yeah, so that's one of the biggest struggles, I think, in cyber. Obviously, a lot of organizations think tech is part of the solution, but you need human resources, and it's inevitable. You need someone to work with the tools. So it's all word of mouth as of right now. Like we've built a tremendous network over the years, but there's always room. There's always a gap. There's always need for more resources. And this is constant. Like we actually right now have a requirement. One of our customers looking to get 4 resources to do some technical things for his organization. And we're just trying to find out where we can find these people. So I think and this is the true story. This is actually what we're looking to do right now. So I think this is very ideal for us right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, glad that you mentioned referrals. So let me give you a bit of a background on myself and what I'm doing. I'm going to need a presentation here. As Alex mentioned already, I'm the founder of Recrooit, but I've been in the tech recruitment industry for 10 years now. This is not my first company. I also founded a recruitment agency called Omnis, and we've been working with different companies from the US, helping them hire remotely. And recruiting, even in today's market, it's really hard. So companies are frustrated with candidates that are getting from like their job boards, or just the process of you have to go out and poach them from LinkedIn or so, And then referrals have been an amazing way for companies to get their hands on some of the talent. And I'm not sure, and you can, like, if I'm biased here, but from my experience, it's really hard to get to security professionals because they're not that active on social media. Was that your experience as well?
Yeah. For the technical folks, they're not very social media friendly. They're also very cautious about what information they share. So yeah, you won't see them posting a lot or interacting a lot in social media. That's for us sales guys and marketing folks.
Yeah. Well, that was my experience as well when I was sourcing security professionals too. So at some point, working with all these customers from the US, I thought, like, what if we give them an additional source of hire? Sorry, they have like job boards, they have LinkedIn, they have internal referrals, but eventually you dry them out, and then you have to really dig in to find new candidates. So I thought, like, what if there was a community, like a huge community of industry professionals that can refer candidates to you, right? And to your openings. So that's how we came about Recrooit. We built a whole new acquisition channel coming from where candidates are coming from external referrals. So the biggest part, like, there are several benefits to hiring this way. First of all, there's someone vouching for these professionals. You can also boost your employer branding through our network. And then obviously you have full control over hiring costs on Recrooit. So that's a way to lower your hiring costs. But what I would love to learn so far is, were you using any tools aside from referrals, internal referrals, or your network for hiring?
Yeah, so I mean, we tried posting on all the major recruiting websites, use LinkedIn for job posting, but I mean, we weren't getting the amount of candidates that were actually valuable, that we felt fit the mold. we would get a lot of applications that just did not have the skill set. So I think that's part of the difficulties on recruiting, and specifically at cyber, is to get the right candidate for the role.
Yeah, I agree. It's especially hard in the beginning, like when for startups, when they still don't have, when the word about them is not out yet, you know. So and then we also wanted to build a seamless like process, like just as you would like with using LinkedIn on that or any job board. Like you would post a job, set the bounty on Recrooit, like, and this is what I mentioned, that you would have full control over cost per hire, because you decide the bounty that you are willing to pay out if you hire a referral successfully. And then you can share it across your social media. We will use our channels to distribute your job. And obviously the community existing on the platform will start referring candidates to you. Do you have any questions so far?
No, that's great so far. I did have, just a comment. In the Recrooit platform, in addition to just job postings, like full-time employees, do you have project-based initiatives? So like if I needed someone for a 6-month project or a 3-month project on something specific, is that part of it, or is it mainly job full-time employees?
It's not just full-time employees. You can also post jobs for freelancers, but let me show you how it works. Would you like to see it? Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. All right. So, okay. So this is what it looks like for companies. These are the positions that we already published. And the thing on Recrooit is that we can also manage candidates here. So we also distinguish candidates that apply themselves from those that were referred, and we can see their CVs and just decide if we want to have them moved to the interview process. And as I said, you can manage the whole interview process here. But let me get back to posting the job. When you post the job, you can, when setting these features here, you can actually decide whether it's part-time, contractor, freelance, intern, and so on. So yeah, you can post. You just need to pick the exact employment type you're after. Yeah. So this is how you post a job on Recrooit. So we're going to say software developer. So yeah, that's a good question. I saw that you're from Dallas, or you're based in Dallas, and the company is in Miami. Are you working remotely?
Yeah. Yes, we do. So our whole organization, we're about 30 folks, but we're distributed throughout actually the Caribbean, Central America, and the US. So we have part of our team is in Orlando. I'm in Dallas. Most of our team is in Miami, but we have folks in Puerto Rico, Trinidad, El Salvador. So
are you focused on hiring from the United States exclusively, or?
No, we're open to recruiting outside of the country as well.
Got it. Okay, so then we can say fully remote position, right?
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna put the job description and responsibilities here. I'm just gonna paste the some text I found, requirements, just as we would on any job platform. We would describe what the selection process looks like. Set, let's say you're looking for a contractor with 4+ years. We don't want to share our salary. There is no equity. And then we're off to set the bounty. And pretty much nothing happens here. You just put in your credit card and pick the bounty. Depending on like your budgets, it can go up and down. And nothing will happen. We'll just have your credit card in case you make a hire, so we can charge you. So then we publish. No thanks. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And then you can share this job post, as I said, across your social media and ask your network to refer people. As I said, recruiters will see this on their dashboards. Do you have any questions so far?
Very cool. So this, I guess the sharing of this information, in addition to the LinkedIn, I would imagine users would already be part of Recruit. Like if I am like one of the referral people that I have a list of people that I can refer, I would get that notification immediately, or how would that work?
Yeah, if you were a part of Recruit community, you would get a notification, and you would be a part of our Slack channel as well, where we share links and so on. But then again, most of the users, I can show you what this is what it looks like for recruiters as well. It's just a big list of positions with different referral fees and so on, and they can search for jobs here. And then if I decide to refer someone for the job, I can just put in their data. Or I can copy my unique referral link and send it to them. And this is the most common way people refer others, is by using referral links. So it's quite simple on both sides.
Very cool. And I guess do candidates themselves, can they go and see the jobs that are available?
Yes. An important thing here is that you also have a company page, meaning that you can either embed it or share the link to it to any social media, and then you can use also your website as a sourcing method, right? And as you can see, let me share you. This is what company pages look like, and this is where the list of your positions would be. And you can use this unique link and link it from your website, so people can both refer people to you or apply. And then you go back to Recruit and manage those referrals. Yeah.
Yeah. And quick question. So when I worked at McAfee, and actually the HR department, when we were trying to, there was a job opening, they would actually have a kind of a referral fee for employees. So like, hey, if you bring someone and we hire them, we'll pay you $5,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, is there I guess, an incentive to get the candidates? Because obviously we would do that a lot. Like we would refer someone, but they wouldn't necessarily get hired, but we did give them a good candidate. Is there something like some sort of incentive around just bringing you a candidate, even though that person doesn't get hired?
Not yet, but it is something we have in mind. We're still, I would say we're still early, but yeah, so far when I first started building Recruit, and I started determining the motivators, that why would people refer others, I initially I thought it would be money, but it's not. They actually genuinely want to help out their network.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's a wholesome information, actually. I love that about Recruit. Yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it about how it works. I'm gonna need my presentation back. All right. So as I said, you can manage your hiring campaign. You have full control over hiring costs, and that's pretty much it. We have both monthly and annual plans. So I would say that, do you know how many openings you have at the moment?
So right now we're looking to source 4 resources for one of our customers. Internally, we're not. I mean, we are actually have a couple job openings for technical resources, but we still haven't posted those jobs yet. So if I were to get like 4, and also if you go back to the subscription, how does the engagement, I guess the licensing work? Is that in addition to paying out the referral, there's also a subscription pays to Recruit?
Exactly. That's how we monetize. We monetize from subscriptions from the companies. So you can use Recruit. The pricing models depend on how many openings you need all at any time, So as you said, most of the openings, and I'm guessing, are the roles familiar, or like do they depend on seniority? And so do you have are they all different? Do you have any idea what the roles are?
Yeah, so one of them is, they're very specific technical resources, though. An incident manager, so someone that can handle for incident response, and the 3 others are very technical as far as like they have to know a specific product type. They're looking for a resource that can handle CrowdStrike. Another one is to manage one of their firewalls, the Fortinet. So that's the positions that we're looking to help source right now.
Got it. So they're different. Yeah. Well, the pricing depends. Yeah, the tiers depend on how many openings you need. So, but I would encourage you to start with our Plus plan, which allows you to post 3 job slots, 3 jobs. And when I say job slots, I mean that at any time, if you close one of those positions, you still have 1 slot available to post another job. So I believe with this volume you have for hiring, Plus would be just fine for you. And then in the Plus plan, you can also have 3 user seats, so you can manage the process with your colleagues and whoever is involved with the hiring process, I am guessing, but I'm not sure. So are you alone in the hiring process, or like other people are involved?
There's other people involved as well.
Yeah, that's why we decided to add user seats to plans. And then, as I said, apart from that, you get our API, so you can integrate Recruit on your website if you'd like. But you can also use just the link as a career page. It's the easiest way we've seen so far.
So on the I guess the referral fee that we would pay out. Let's say I get these referrals or 4 jobs, and let's say I posted at $2,000 a piece. Would any of that payment go towards this monthly subscription, or is that separate?
No, that's separate. But if you don't make a hire through a referral, for example, if you hire a candidate that applied themselves and has that status applied, you're not paying a bounty for them, obviously. Like, they applied themselves. It's not a referral, so you're not going to have any additional costs. If you make a hire from a referral, that's when you only, and if you make a hire from a referral, that's when you pay out the bounty. And the important part here is that you also pay out the bounty to us, and then we pay it out to the recruiter community. So you're gonna get an invoice for that as well.
Okay. Cool. And then I guess, so if I don't have that many job postings, like on a regular basis, is that what that initial plan is for? The $0 one?
Yeah, we recently added a free tier. We also want to help out the community struggling with tech at the moment. Like, I'm originally from the tech industry, SaaS industry, and there's a lot of people that were left jobless. And we hope that once we launch the free version of Recruit, companies are going to be posting more, and then the community will be able to help out their peers in search of new jobs.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. All right. So if you agree, I would love to send you this presentation so you can check it out yourself, take your time, and then maybe it would be cool to touch base next week so we can eventually help you out post your first job on Recruit.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there I guess a demo account, or that I can go into the platform to just see how it works, or
a demo account for customers?
Yeah.
No, we don't have those. Like, is that a practice across the US?
Well, yeah, for SaaS, I mean, the majority of SaaS products or tools, they always have some sort of demo, so you can like log in and see what the interface looks like, how it works, kind of just. And I guess in the freemium model as well, you would just create an account automatically, and then you would be able to see how it interacts, how it works. And that's also a way that if you're going to put a job posting, before I hit to submit, it could transition me to subscribe now.
All right, let me see what I can do about that, and I'm gonna get you a demo account you can try out Recruit from. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Do you have any more questions for me?
So how did you start? Because I know that obviously from the platform, and you kind of mentioned they used to work for recruiting firms, your SaaS company. So how did Recruit come about? What is the what was the main driver on creating this platform?
Well, as I said, I've been working with different company owners, and they were really frustrated with how recruitment agencies work. And then they were also struggling to attract talent. Like, they would eventually dry out all their sources of hire, including internal referrals. And then they would turn to agencies. And as an owner of a recruitment agency, I can testify that it's not that easy to build relationships with your clients, because they always look at you as an expense, you know. And like, seeing how frustrated they are, I wanted to give them an option to get qualified candidates, and at the same time have Recruit, and at the same time lower their cost of hire. So that's how I started thinking about Recruit. And then we launched in 2001 the initial version, which was quite different from this one. We tested out the idea and figured out probably a way to build this further.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And I guess also, what is your initiative for, I guess, in order to get a lot of candidates, you'd have to have a massive kind of audience or grow an audience. What are the plans for that, for kind of getting more candidates and more recruiters, or more people referring?
Well, we use different tools for building our community, but it's usually it's funny, but referrals and word of mouth is what works best for us. Whenever people hear that they can earn money by referring others for jobs, it just sounds good to them, you know. So that's how we build our community. And on top of that, we've been building partnerships with different tech communities around Europe, and that's yeah.
And you mentioned also a Slack component. We use Slack internally as well. What is that Slack? Is it Slack community that you have created?
Yes, we're probably going to be moving to Discord, because it turns out that our community told us that Slack reminds them of work, so they don't want to work, I guess, after hours. And so we're moving to Discord, and this is where we're gonna have this big community of people referring others for jobs and just talking tech and stuff.
Excellent. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually a Discord user as well for my NFTs.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Alex is back.
Okay. We're finishing up the live demo. There was some really good call to action, really good, strong finish there. There's always room for improvement. And this is, I guess, a great cue to invite our audience with, questions, and we want to answer those. I'm going to mention a couple of things. We did finish a little bit earlier the presentation, so we will, make the most out of the rest of the time to answer some of these questions. But Ricardo, I'm probably inviting you to maybe back me up on this. When we started, and I've been in sales in cybersecurity almost 20 years, the demos would sometimes take a full hour. But now, just because the times are faster, and when you're trying to get on somebody's schedule, it's going to be hard to carve up a full hour. I'm asking everybody, I'm actually working with few companies. I'm telling them, you have to be able to do the presentation just like Nev did here in under 30 minutes. Now, if it goes longer, that's fine. Sometimes these sessions are going to be for the enterprise product, enterprise solution. There's a big audience. There's a lot of questions. Sure, you can go. But I believe strongly that your initial ask, when you're asking for the appointment, go for the 30 minutes or shorter. You're going to find more success. So let me pause there and see, Ricardo, what is your view on how much time should the audience ask when they're setting up these appointments, whether it's a SaaS product or a service?
Yeah, I mean, typically the way that most of these calls have been set up, it was kind of a 20-minute one-way presentation. So like they would have slides and slides and slides. So 50 slides on a product. What I think the industry's transition to is more interactive, much shorter, getting closer to the product, having interaction like true value. Because everybody can hear all the great things about a company, but really they want to see how it's really going to impact them as an organization. they're not really interested in learning about all the other great customers. Or, I mean, it's good to have. It's a good reference point, but you can do that in a very short period of time.
Yep. And we saw in the live demo here, there was that opportunity that Nev took when you asked a very specific question, and she did a really good job transitioning into showing the exactly what you were asking when it comes to setting up the bounty. I am urging audience to listen to your clients. Too many times I would see somebody who's just stuck, like you said, like, I want to go through all the slides. You got to understand the flow of the conversation. And most importantly, you got to understand where your customer wants to go. By all means, answer that question. Ricardo, I'm sure you can attest, and the questions coming up, we're going to come to that. But just one more important point. I've seen enterprise sales happen in a few minutes sometimes, right? Oh, yeah. If it's answered correctly, right, you don't have to, you have to listen to your client. If your client has a very specific question, they don't have time, they're already sold on it. It could be literally a few minutes, but sometimes it's longer. But the point is, you have to follow the flow of the conversation, and most importantly, you got to listen to your potential client.
Yeah, I think that's key. And the way actually I do a lot of my presentations is start off with a ton of questions. So really get a deep understanding before I even go into the demo, because that way I can gear what I'm going to show them, how I'm going to present it to them, see if it resonates with them. Because I mean, sometimes a lot of demo products, you just go straight for what you know and the things that you feel they want to hear, but that's not necessarily what they want to hear. They might still have other questions even after your demo, even if you spend an hour showing them all the cool things of the tool or the platform that you're trying to share with them. If it doesn't answer their questions, they'll still have other things they want to ask. So starting with a ton of questions up front, and I think Nat did a great job as well. Asking, do I have any open recs? Like, what are they? Where are these located? Are they international? Are they US based? So the things like that, understanding that can help her show me the features within the platform that are specific to that. So I saw the button that says remote work only. that gave me an indication that it's not specific to a territory. So things like that are key to highlight from the beginning. So,
as well as you asked immediately about can you hire somebody as a contractor or per time basis versus the full time, and she transitioned to that. A great job there. Yeah. So let's go to the audience. We do have some questions. Again, we are asking audience to keep bringing those. We opened the Q&A session now. So let's go with the first one. Nev, do you have, and I think this is a really good one, and it's coming from OSNAP. But it's a really good question. Nev, do you have a different version of the slide deck? So we're talking about the general slide deck based on the industry where specific customers come from.
Yes,
meaning
and
cybersecurity
no. Yeah, yes and no, but I don't think that's like, at least in the early days, this is my opinion, and you two will probably correct me if I'm wrong because you have way more experience in sales than me. And I believe in the early days, it's not that important that you build all these decks of, obviously you need materials to be able to sell, but at the same time, I think it's way more important that you know your customer, get ready for the call, and keep the conversation natural. Because if I came fully prepared, specifically for the cybersecurity industry, they would I would maybe leave an impression that my customer, and you want referrals from your customers as well, and maybe I would leave an impression that they're specialized for cybersecurity industry, and I don't want that, because I'm sure Ricardo knows way more people in tech than just cybersecurity, right?
That's great. Great point. Yeah, and from my experience, when I build slide decks, usually it's only one deck. There would be one or two slides that are maybe more specific that you would have as placeholders. So you wouldn't necessarily build a whole other deck around an industry, but you might have something like one slide that maybe talks to that or highlights it. Or
yeah, exactly. That's why I said yes and no.
Yeah, I agree with Ricardo. So I was going to say the same thing. Have a placeholder. This is your master, call it master general overview deck, right? But have a placeholder. For example, Nev, you mentioned you know, you did a good job researching. We as a cybersecurity industry, we need 3.5 million people. You could have brought up that slide, right? And what that would do would show the customer, Ricardo, oh, okay, she really thought about some of my pain points. It would not take a lot of time, maybe like few minutes, you know, 10, 15 minutes maximum, but just showing that you do understand the problem and you're not using a cookie cutter approach, as we say in the United States, like one size fits all. I think it could go a long way, right? So you're right, Nev. Yes and no. Definitely have, like, you don't want to build a very specific one, but maybe to Ricardo's point, 1 or 2 slides just showing that you understand the pain point would be great. So great question. Oh, snap. Hopefully people are taking notes. Let's go to the next one. Lazo, you can bring the next one. Okay, from Ivana, we do have another really good question. If the customer asks me some questions about info that would violate the privacy of my product, is it okay to refuse to answer? And could that be a deal breaker for a client? So I guess the question is something that has to do with an IP confidentiality or something that's a really, you know, intellectual property, if you will. That's where Ivana is aiming. So, you know, this is a really good question. And obviously, Ricardo, we come from cybersecurity. I can take a stab at it, but I want you to take maybe a first stab, and I'll give you my opinion too.
Yeah, I mean, if it's IP specific, like if they're trying to investigate how you do things, you can not necessarily refuse, but you could say that's not probably relevant to you as a customer. I don't think, and a lot of times it's roadmap, or there's something specific that they want to learn about your product, like the ins and outs of the technology. I don't think if there's anything that you don't want to share, don't share it. Like there's no guidance around, especially if it's something private that you don't want everyone in the world to know. Like how Nev's developing, what platform she's using, and also that could be a security concern. So I'm always very cautious on like what tools or technologies I share. So that would be my take on it. I don't know what the specific on the privacy. Maybe we follow up on that. But go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an easy answer. I believe every organization, no matter how small or big, you have to draw the line what's client public facing and what's internal. And there's something also in between upon the request. For example, we are working with a client on the security side. We're building a security white paper. There's some very important information there, but we told them, and they asked us, should they put that on a website? And we said, absolutely not. But they're working with a large client, Fortune 500 company, well-known Fortune 500 company, that is probably going to request that so they can share that. But even in that sharing, there's still a line that they're not going to cross. They're not going to show the code, right? But they will show some things, right? So you have to, as an organization, figure out what is your, we call it insecurity, your risk appetite, how much you want to show. But it's even, to answer your question, it's perfectly okay to say to the American customer, that's a great question. However, it would violate some of our confidentiality statements. And American customer is going to understand, and they're going to appreciate that because they're probably doing the same thing.
Yeah, let me add to that. So, and since we're in the cybersecurity world, a lot of our customers, they're disclosing information that's very private to them. So there's there's a best practice of preparing a NDA. So there's a non-disclosure. Like if someone does ask you something like that, you can say, well, we don't have an NDA in place, but I'd be willing to share it if there is, if we are able to sign a mutual NDA. And that can just mitigate that question right away. And they'll say, well, I'm not going to sign it, or and if they do sign it, then you can't share it with them. So,
and we're grabbing these, and you know, we're kind of leaving Nev a little bit out. We gave her a chance to take a breather after the demo. Nev, what is your take on Ivana's question? Would that be a deal breaker if Ricardo wanted to, you know, dig in more into the privacy? I mean, that's a question for Ricardo, but how would you handle that? What is your take on it?
I wasn't sure if I should be honest, like when answering that, and I probably wouldn't normally say like I would breach my confidentiality, like if I said this, you know, like, but I would just play dumb, you know, probably when answering these questions. Like, and I would just answer something completely different from what they asked me, you know.
That's fine, but you know, it's okay to be honest. So that's a great question, and I appreciate the curiosity. But we actually have a very strict cybersecurity guidelines, so confidential guidelines, and they're going to appreciate that, because they're going to think like, oh wow, they do take care of those things. They're going to take care of my data too, and it's okay. And to answer your question, absolutely would not be a deal breaker, but be very coherent and be very astute in how you deliver that message.
Yeah, I believe that it's a matter of wording, actually, like, and how. And that you smile while you answer and stuff like that. Yeah.
Great question. Okay, let's do the next one, Lazar. Let's bring it up. Questions are coming. That's great. We got Maria here, or as we would say, Maria, asking, hi, Ricardo, are there any deal breakers during demo that would definitely mean no to you? If so, can you please give us some examples from your experience? Great question, Maria. Thanks, Ricardo.
Yeah. Deal breakers on a demo. So things that would put you off. I think if you're in a demo itself means you have interest. So just the fact that you're there, and that's one thing that a lot of times, being on the customers, on the vendor side, is that we assume like they don't necessarily want to be there, that they don't care. They might not be paying attention, but if they're in the demo, they're interested. So you should take that as a benefit that that they want to learn about what you're doing. I think if you are too pushy, those are things that would put you off. It wouldn't necessarily mean that I'm not gonna buy the technology. It just might not be resonating with the approach of the salesperson or whoever's presenting it. So I would just say, I mean, it wouldn't be a deal breaker for me, but if they're too pushy on the product, or they're too like, hey, when can I sign this deal with you? Can I send you an invoice today? Things like that. Being too pushy is not good from my standpoint. And also, if you're talking one way, like if you're not really listening to my questions, you're not really listening to what matters to me, that would put me off as well. So I would lose interest very quickly if you're only trying to show me how your technology is the best and better than anybody else. I also, when they go against competitors, how they try to destroy competitors, that's something that puts me off as well. I think a lot of people, when like, oh, I do it the best because and these other ones, they don't know what they're doing, or they're doing it bad, or they're going to share your information, they're not going to pay you the bounty. They have a bad reputation, and every time you put a referral, they never pay it. Things like that. Like, you don't want to be sharing. You want to give the highlights of your business. You don't want to be destroying or trying to put other people down in order for you to go up. So that would be things that would probably put me off to not closing with you if you have that approach.
I love the last statement. And actually, at one of the sessions previously, when we were talking about features and benefits and outcomes, and the questions came up regarding the competitors. A lot of times, and I've seen it before, sometimes the client is going to bait you, right? Yep. They will mention something about a competitor, say, we're really not happy with these people, with this other company, knowing that that's your competitor, and they want to see how you're going to act on it. If you jump on it, if you trash the competitor, that's not a good way to do it. So it begs the question, how do you handle it? The way I do it, and Ricardo, I think we come from a similar school. We obviously had some fierce competitors when we were at McAfee. You can say, like, look, it's a good company. They have some good things, but we feel strongly that here are some of the outcomes that we do better, or that we can do for you that we don't see currently on the market. So start with something positive. It's a good company, right? But we feel that we invested a lot of money into this particular research and development for this particular outcome. To Ricardo's point, switch it to, your value. Quickly go from stop talking about a competitor, but go quickly to the value and the outcome that you are bringing, right? But I've seen it before that somebody could just put it out there, the competitor, wait for you to trash it. And to Ricardo's point, when you start trashing a competitor and spending all the time, this is a terrible company, we're just so much better. It's a put off. I do want to mention one more thing, Ricardo. When you said the pricing, there's a difference between being desperate and being direct. There's absolute time where you should talk about the pricing, but you know, it's a balance, it's a finesse. It comes from experience. It comes from asking questions, really understanding your audience, when you should push the pricing and where you should kind of stand back a little bit, right? In this demo today, we had the chance to see where Ricardo and Nev, you hopefully took note, and hopefully the audience took note. Create a demo account. We call it like a sandbox. Hey, Ricardo, or, you know, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, potential customer, yeah, let me create a sandbox environment where you can play with it. Try it out. Your goal should be for customer to touch it, to feel it, to understand it a little bit, to ask questions. If you can sell it on the first call, more power to you. Sure, there's going to be some calls where people are going to be like, look, we did a research. We need you yesterday. That means like we're ready to sign up. But reality is not every customer and call is going to be like that. A lot of times it's going to be like, hey, we want to play with it. We want to understand it. We want to see what kind of questions we can come up. So you should have a demo account. You should have some kind of free trial and win over with value, because you're so sure in your product. Absolutely, Ricardo. We'll create a demo environment. You're so sure that you're going to like it. Let's follow up in a week or two to see what kind of questions you have. And then maybe even better, let's see if we can create another session once we give a demo account, so we can create that very specific role that you need. You mentioned incident response is something that you need. Those are very hard to find people. Let me show you how you can work through that demo account and set it up, right? So some really good feedback there. Maria, hopefully this answers your question. You guys took some notes. Every presentation, every demo is going to be different, but you guys got some really good pointers here from Ricardo. Let's go to the next one, Lazar. Oh, OSNAP is coming again. Mr. OSNAP without a name, but he's coming up with some really good questions. If I come from a business background, great question. If I come from a business background, should I bring someone from my tech team to the demo? So the question is, I guess you set up a demo and you're thinking who should be on the demo from your side. You're not so technical. You're afraid there might be some technical questions, some engineering questions. You know, how would you answer that, Ricardo? And I'm also thinking like you got to really prep and understand who's your audience, but what is your answer to this?
So you would want to have a tech person there, but you want to make sure that they're not talking over the customer, because on the other side, whoever your candidate is, they're probably in the business as well, and they're trying to solve problems. They don't necessarily need to know all the bits and bytes, because you can get very, very granular into your tech talk, and then you can just lose someone, because that's something that you want to try to avoid. In technology sales, it's something that we go through all the time, all the little bits and bytes, and like this one little feature, and then it's just a rabbit hole, because that's not necessarily what's going to solve the problem. One specific feature on any technology is not the end all. It's not going to solve all your problems. So you want to make sure that you have the business talk to show the value. Overall, what is this going to do to you? How is it going to help you? How is it going to improve your business? How is it going to be more secure? Like, you want to make sure that you're selling the high level from a business conversation. The tech team is there to support if there's like specific, hey, does this integrate with X tool? And then they can talk a little bit about that. But you don't want necessarily the tech to take over, because then they'll go very granular. They'll start talking all the bits and bytes, and they'll talk things that you don't understand, and then you don't know if the call went well or not, because they'll get into the APIs and JSON this and JSON that, and like, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
And that's a great question for Nev too, because there was a mention of APIs. So Nev, have you encountered that, or how would you handle, let's say if Ricardo brought an engineer and they said, okay, well, we want to know more about the APIs. How would you handle it? Or have you thought about bringing an engineer if it's a more of a setup call or somebody asking technical questions?
Yeah, I would definitely. Well, I would need to regroup if he asked me about API. I do have some basic technical knowledge, but I wouldn't be comfortable talking about it like with someone who is that technical, But yeah, I would say that this answer depends on your customers, because I don't have that many opportunities to work with hiring managers that are technical. You know, most of the hiring managers that were posting to Recrooit so far were coming from HR roles mostly, you know. So, and they wouldn't have any, if I brought like a developer with me to the call or anyone with technical knowledge, I would think that would scare them, and they would think they would need more knowledge to set it up than they actually do, you know. But when it comes to questions about like how to integrate Recrooit API and so on, we have really easy documentation. So I would, if I were in this situation today, like I would probably offer to send them the documentation to look it out, you know, get so on.
The big thing is obviously preparation, knowing who's going to be, you know, on the call and what is the call about. This is where you have to prepare the agenda. However, life happens, and maybe your client didn't read the agenda. They brought the engineer, and they have a lot of engineering questions. We actually talked about this in the past. If you are alone, and maybe, and I love what, first of all, let me take a step back. I love what Nevena said. You should know, even if you're not a technical person, you should know to the extent how things work, right? We do understand if you're the founder and somebody has very technical, detailed question how the API integration goes, you know, you don't have the answer. It's perfectly fine to say, that's a great question. Let me get back to my engineer and I'll come back to you with that, right? Too many times I see people, they're presenting for the first time. They are, you know, they're not happy that they cannot answer the question. They get nervous. If somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer, in this case, very technical question, just compliment them on the question. That's a great question because they're showing interest. So let me get back to you. I want to talk to my engineer. He couldn't make it on this call, but I'll get back to you. It gives you a chance to have a great follow-up with a lot of value, and then hopefully solve the problem for them and provide the outcome that they were looking for. So to answer your question, so Snap, figure out before the call what is the agenda, who's going to be on it. But if you're stuck and you don't have your engineer and they do have engineering questions, it's perfectly fine. First of all, set the stage, saying like, I see you brought the engineers, I didn't bring mine. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. But if there's some questions that I cannot answer, please fire away. I'll take a note and I'll come back with you with some of these answers.
Yeah, and usually a lot of times when we do presentations, we try to talk to the business value first, and we're talking, and also your audience. So knowing your audience, I think, is crucial. But there's always a follow-up, like, oh, you want to go have a tech call? And then we have a separate call, and all the technical folks are on there. So they can talk bits and bytes, but it's not necessarily affecting the actual business message of what the value we're trying to sell. Like they can go all granular, all the APIs, talk all the tech stuff. That's a lot of in cybersecurity, we do that a lot. Because it is very technical. Every technology you're selling, there's a lot of nuances. There's a lot of detail around it. First, we try high level. What are you trying to solve? How does our technology help you with that? But then if you want to get into how does that work? How will I see the day-to-day operation of that? That's more technical. So that can have a separate call. So you can definitely want to separate those calls. And I don't know, like the cadence, you usually have the first presentation is about the business demo, but then there's always a follow-up that's more technical deep dive, and we always usually call it technical deep dive.
That's a great point. I love that. So yeah, there's definitely structure there. As you guys can understand, the sales cycles can be really long. The more complex the product, the more steps in that sales cycle. Having said that, we are actually out of questions, and we might give our audience 5 minutes back. I'm very eager to ask Ricardo potentially, you know, some of the highlights of the demo and maybe some things for improvement. But I do want to save that for our next series when it's about a follow-up. I do feel that Nev has a really good call to action here, creating a demo environment and following up with Ricardo. But we will definitely process this. And the point is, we were talking about this before the show started. Nobody sounds perfect on the demo. There's always room for improvement. I don't care if you were selling for 50 years, right? There's always something that you can learn from your presentation. I would encourage people, if you have a chance, record yourself and figure out where you can improve. So this is what we're going to do here. We're going to process this. We're going to listen to the presentation. And for our next series, when we do a follow-up, we will learn what we did great. We will learn what we can improve. But we will definitely give Nev a chance to do the follow-up and maybe do a close and potentially sign up Ricardo and DigitalEra for Recrooit. Having said that, I do want to give, before we close, the last word to Nev and Ricardo.
Thank you, Alex. Well, I'll close next because this is your call, Nev, so I'll let you finish it out.
No,
I really appreciate you today. Appreciate you, Alex, for inviting me. This is great. I think this the whole everything was set up really nicely. Lazar did a fantastic job with the questions and the whole setup, so really appreciate that. And I mean, I'm here to help with anything that I can support you guys with. I'm here, so really appreciate it.
Excellent. Nev?
Yeah, well, thank you to the whole team, I guess, both Lazar and you too, and Ricardo. Thank you so much for taking time to do this with us. It's fun to have another one on board. I look forward to your feedback. Maybe we will share something with the community as well. And I hope everyone got to learn something today from this demo.
Absolutely. I want to thank you, guys, Ricardo and Nev. I do, again, want to thank the sponsors, USAID, Digital Initiative Serbia. But again, Startit team, Lazar, Isidora, Nevenka, you guys doing an amazing job. And I do want to finish with thanking our audience. We know how busy you are. Hopefully, we provided some value. Please watch this on YouTube. Throw us the comments there. We want to keep improving this series. And with that being said, we are giving you actually 3 minutes back. Have a great rest of the evening. And as they say in Serbian, laku noć. Hvala.
Thank you.
Bye.